a word of acknowledgement, of appreciation, and wish you all the best in this very important media launch. And let me also just take the opportunity to say our province is well known, Honorable Minister, for its hospitality. I'm quite sure that everybody is feeling good, and I'm quite sure that you'll find the best way forward in the cold weather, but otherwise, we're glad to welcome you. Now, let me also thank the Minister for choosing Kempton Province for hosting this very important media launch, which of course will serve as a prelude to the discussions that are going to take place in the summit that will be held in Cape Town this week. On a much more lighter but serious note, in case there's that, for those who will be in Cape Town this week, if you feel something, get a bit worried when you're in Cape Town and feel something, could be that you're missing the hospitality of Kempton Province. For those of you who will be going to Cape Town. Minister, when I had the privilege just last week to interact with you in the National Council of Provinces, the NCOP in Cape Town, where you led the debates on efficient, effective delivery of electricity, of energy, we as a province had placed on record, being the economic hub of our country, our appreciation of the excellent, sterling work that you are doing, Minister, since you have been appointed into this definitely very difficult position. We must say, Minister, what we are observing in our province is that under your stewardship and leadership, you have definitely turned the corner on a very complex task of ensuring and guaranteeing undisrupted, consistent supply of electricity and energy. And we did say that when we say that, it doesn't mean, Minister, we do not acknowledge that there are difficulties because the task is still quite complex. There's still more work that needs to be done. But I think the Premier and the people of our province will agree that we should give credit where credit is due and say to the Minister, well done, thank you very much. Sometimes we hardly say thank you, but I think we must say thank you to your leadership, Minister, for the excellent work that we are doing. Let me also say that we as a province, of course, are part of the national effort and, of course, that of local government. Three spheres of government working together to grow the economy, to reduce the multidimensional aspects of poverty, to create jobs, to improve the quality of lives of the people. Now, Kempton being the biggest contributor to GDP, we would like to say to the Minister and to everybody here that all the investors, local and of course international investors, would like to say to them we are very confident as the province about the work that is being done to make sure that we can have a sustainable economic growth, but also that is transformative and of course improving the quality of lives of the people. So anyone looking to doing business in our country, in this province, we're quite sure that the work that the Minister is doing will go a long way to turn around the economy of our country, of our province, but to make sure that we have got business continuity and of course we can also supply households and of course all key sectors of the economy. Let me also just conclude by saying that, Minister, here in our province, we have established an intergovernmental relations committee, convened, chaired by the Premier, where we look at electricity, broadly energy supply, and we work with ESCOM. And I'd like to assure you, Minister, that the relationship and partnership we have built with ESCOM and the positive partnership that exists, and just Also with your advisor, I must also not forget to thank him because he's always in those meetings. He always sits in those meetings, Minister. So we want to thank you for the relationship, the partnership that we have with your office and your leadership to solve many of the challenges that we have. We wouldn't have been able to roll out the program of Transformers if it were not because of the partnership we have built with you. And let me also say that our province, of course, is looking forward to the debates and discussions that will take place on green hydrogen. And we don't want to preempt those discussions. I would like to give the opportunity to the teams that are, and the experts and the professionals, and of course the participants, all of them, that are going to have discussions about hydrogen and of course what that can do to our economy. But let me just say that whilst we wish those the participants and the delegates well in the discussions, we believe, Minister, that we have an opportunity to build a sustainable economy around hydrogen. Of course, there are challenges, there are difficulties, there are risks, but we are confident, Minister, that given your leadership, your hard work, your guidance, and working with the teams that you're working with all of us, local government, province, national, private sector, all partners, research institutions, experts, and of course with the global community, we could turn around the economy of our country and build a completely new, sustainable, smart economy for smart cities. Because if you look at the opportunities that we have in the country, the strength of the sun to power and to take advantage, particularly of renewables, solar, I'm quite sure that we could make a powerful contribution to use hydrogen to build a much more sustainable economy. As matters stand, we have a history of gold mining. We dig the ground, gold, it's not coming back, it's gone, it's almost finished. So hydrogen gives us an opportunity for a renewable, smart, sustainable green economy. And we're looking forward to the discussions. As I said, let me not preempt the discussions, but we know there are issues of risk of the big projects that have been announced, of financing those initiatives, and of course of making sure that those projects could actually deliver a new economy very soon, and of course help us to decarbonize, to build a smart, sustainable economy for the people. On that note, welcome to Gauteng. We hope you're feeling at home. Wishing you all the best and good luck with the summit in Cape Town. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, MEC. We are certainly feeling at home, but we are feeling very cold as well. So thank you very much for those very warm, welcoming remarks. Colleagues, I'd like to invite my colleague Masopa Mushweshwe just to give us a brief overview before we then take a presentation from Vinay. Thanks.
Morning, everyone. It seems I'm the only one dressed for a site visit today. And it's a nice circle, because the last time I wore these pants was when we went to Sasol's Secunda facility for them to show us what they were going to build. And now we have an opportunity to go back this afternoon to see what they have built. It took a bit longer to put them on this morning than it did a few years ago, but Sasol's clothes shrink in the wash. You must just be warned. Thank you very much, everyone, for the opportunity to sort of brief you on today. As you know, this is the sort of launch event for the Africa Green Hydrogen Summit. It has been an interesting road to this point, almost the culmination of this phase of work where We launched the South Africa Green Hydrogen Summit in 2022 as a South Africa coming out party, an opportunity for the country to show its ability to be a player on the global stage in terms of green hydrogen. At the second iteration in 2023, it was around profiling the projects, the pipeline that will underpin the development of this economy. And importantly, to show that in this sense, what government is doing is enabling private sector and entrepreneurial ambition, providing the conducive environment, the policy environment in order to see that be realized. At the 2023 summit, the President expressed an ambition that the next summit be an African summit rather than a South African summit, because our narrative was very much around continental collaboration. The opportunity for the supply side to be able to come together to address barriers that were of mutual interest. At that point, we were given a year off by the then Minister of Mines and Energy, Minister Tom Alwindo from Namibia, putting up his hand to say he would host a regional build-up summit in Windhoek, which they hosted very successfully last year. And we now find ourselves at the opportunity to host the continent in collaboration with the year in which we are the president of the G20 and carrying very much an African message, an opportunity to demonstrate African collaboration. Typically, in terms of the launch of the summit, we would have a press event at the venue in Cape Town, but we thought it was important this year to be able to show that hydrogen is moving out of the realm of the theoretical into the practical. What Vinay and his team have been able to do here has been many years of hard work, predating our first summit in 2022. He was there when the first set of strategic integrated projects were announced. They were there, but their journey stems from far before that. I think there's very little understanding of the strong foundational element that South Africa has in terms of green hydrogen. DSI has been leading the research and innovation element in green hydrogen since 2007. So this is not a flash in the pan. How did South Africa develop this IP? This is many, many years and a significant investment by the South African government over a prolonged period. DSI will show that they've spent over 1.5 billion rand since this 2007 period to develop the significant amount of PhDs, masters, IP, systems, technology, and everything else that has the opportunity to underpin the development of this nascent sector. And it is a nascent sector. We're fortunate to leverage off of a significant hydrogen base and knowledge through the likes of Sasol and PetroSA and their proprietary Fischer-Tropsch technology, but this transition to green is an element which is new. And the scale of what we talk to, I think, creates the curse of large scale and nascent. So when we talk about some of the projects, the scale of what we talk about is difficult to imagine. So the Kgosientsho Green Ammonia project in Gqeberha, its first phase requires 3 gigawatts of renewable energy. Over many years of a very successful renewable energy IPP program, we have 7 gigawatts deployed. So the scale is not small. And what it means then is that, as happens with a nascent industry, not all those that start the race finish it. And it then becomes important to celebrate those that do reach some of these critical milestones. So in that sense, we're sort of very proud of the work that Vinay and team have achieved. Their head start works slightly different to a number of other projects within the space. So they're producing the critical component for fuel cells, this MEA that you will hear more about, but it's the component that uses the PGMs, which South Africa and Zimbabwe is home to 80% of, right? So it's that opportunity to demonstrate in practical sense the reindustrialization of Gauteng, the beneficiation of a critical mineral and component that we have, and the policy elements then come into support. And Minister will talk more about SARM and what that means for the development of the industry, as well as the recently approved by Cabinet critical mineral strategy. So that provides a bit of a context for this morning and why we're here, and so very pleased by the work that Isando and team have done. And it shows this element of an ecosystem, because the funding support comes in from the IDC. You have this knowledge base built up by DSI. You have the enablement and the policy ownership and the industrialization piece that comes in from electricity and energy, as well as trade, industry, and competition. It is very much a team effort from a government perspective. The Sasol one is slightly different this afternoon for many of those that you'll be able to make that site visit. It is showing the potential to be able to transition fossil fuel intensive infrastructure to green. So when we talk of a just transition, what does that mean? Do people that are engaged in the fossil fuel economy see a future for themselves and the skills and the knowledge and the IP that's been generated in this new transition that we are embarking on? And it's an opportunity in a very practical sense to be able to demonstrate that. It is a first step, and I think they will explain how difficult it is to move from theory to practice and some of the challenges that they've had to overcome. But what it also enables is that opportunity to bring the broader benefits in terms of policy support for the transition of mobility, which is our fastest growing source of carbon emissions. So lots to be very excited about today and in the next few days as we build up to the summit, and some interesting pieces that will be brought from a knowledge perspective. But today very much is showing that this ecosystem, this nascent industry is moving out of the theoretical into the practical, and to celebrate those that have achieved major milestones like Isando with the support of the province. Thank you very much.
Honorable Minister, distinguished guests, our partners, our colleagues, friends, and my Isando team, good morning. Welcome to our home, and we are pleased to have you and to host you today. To me, it's a privilege. It's an honor to stand in front of you at the launch of this the African Green Hydrogen Conference. I believe it's a milestone event, not only for the industry, as Mosopa said, but for the country and even for the continent. As CEO of Isando Precious Metals, sorry Sakani, it's Vinay Sumera, but the privilege that we have is that we we are proud to have been being invested in the future, what we think is the future for South Africa, both economically and environmentally. And I think it's important to maybe share, Minister, our journey, our passions and our processes, and in terms of how it's now starting to align with the national agenda to drive inclusive and sustainable growth through green hydrogen. I keep on saying this, it is a country opportunity. I'm going to have to ask you all to also look at the screen when we do a presentation. Unfortunately, given the size of the facility, we couldn't get the screen on the behind the minister. So my apologies for anybody having to turn to look at it when we go into the actual presentation. Hopefully this works. Okay, it does work. So we have two projects. Essentially, the project we're talking about today is manufacturing of, beneficiating platinum group metals into catalysts and membrane electrode assemblies for electrolyzers and fuel cells. So we'll be doing that today. We're walking through the facility, and I'm hoping you'll be impressed with what you see. The second project, which we won't talk too much about, but is also a very, very exciting project, we have access to 7 tons of hydrogen every day from a company not too far from here, 12 km from here across the runway on that side. With 7 tons, we can roll out, probably looking at about 4 to 5 refilling stations, and depending on the duty cycle, up to 800 fuel cell vehicles. So that's, we're waiting to hopefully close out the first round funding for that before we can start. So I want to put hydrogen and green hydrogen in context in terms of how it is manufactured and where the opportunity lies for us as a company and as a country. I think South Africa stands at a pivotal crossroads. We know, and it's well known, we have some of the best sun and wind resources in the world in certain parts of the country. It allows us to produce green hydrogen relatively cheaper than most of the other countries in the world. But producing the hydrogen only captures a fraction or part of that value chain or country opportunity. We are also richly endowed with precious metals, platinum group metals. And these metals are critical in enabling the global green hydrogen value chain. And if I just want to take you through how it is, if we have renewable energy generation, to convert that to green hydrogen, you need water and you need renewable energy, and that goes into an electrolyzer. An electrolyzer contains platinum and iridium catalysts coated onto membranes, and this is where we see the opportunity for beneficiation of a platinum group metals. So the electrolyzer will take water and split it into green hydrogen and oxygen as a byproduct. When you have the hydrogen to convert it into electricity, you then use a fuel cell. A fuel cell is a reverse of an electrolyzer where you have platinum and sometimes platinum ruthenium catalysts coated onto membranes that goes into the MEA. And that again is the beneficiation opportunity for the country. And I think the opportunity is here, the opportunity is now. I mean, all our metals, most of our metals actually are currently being beneficiated overseas. The value addition, even for the green hydrogen technologies, is happening overseas. And Isondo basically asked the question, why not in South Africa? Why not here? And I think the question really was, can South Africa be more than just supplying the refined platinum to international companies? Can we also manufacture, beneficiate it here? Can we innovate on the back of the green hydrogen value chain? And I think we've answered that question. And the question is, I'm proud to say, we can and we are. So just one more slide just to give some context, how it's used in the fuel cell value chain. When we produce the catalyst, it will be coated onto membranes to produce the catalyst-coated membrane, as you see on that slide there. That is then taken up the value chain where you add gas diffusion layers and a few other components into a 5 or 7 layer membrane electrode assembly, which essentially is a single cell of a fuel cell or electrolyzer. This is then stacked together into a fuel cell stack. And in the case of a Toyota, I see we have Toyota here today. Yeah, Tyrone, welcome. In the case of a Toyota Mirai, there's 370 of these MEAs stacked together to form a fuel cell stack in these vehicles. So that's the value chain. That's how the use case lies for PGMs in fuel cells. So what are we doing here at Isondo? So we are buying platinum, iridium, and other precious metals from Northern Platinum. We welcome the CEO of Northern Platinum and the President of the Chamber of Mines, Paul Dunn. Thank you for attending. We'll be buying platinum, iridium in particular, and in step 1 in this facility, we're converting it to what's called a PGM precursor, a PGM chemical, or a catalyst precursor. Just in that step alone, your value addition can be as high as 20 to 25%, just in one step alone. So that's the potential beneficiation potential for the country. We will then be converting it to a catalyst for fuel cells, catalyst for electrolyzers. We can do ammonia cracking. We can even do autocatalysts using this technology that we have. We will convert that catalyst to a catalyst ink, and that will then be coated onto the membranes, also in this facility, to produce a catalyst-coated membrane. And finally, we'll convert it to a 5 and 7 layer MEA, membrane electrode assembly. The next 2 stages, which I will show you, has been designed. It hasn't been procured yet because we're still busy in a round 2 fundraise. We don't have the money for it, but it's critical to be able to recycle these components to give you end-of-life capability. So we've designed a process and a refining step to actually refine the waste back into precious metals. And so once this has been installed, we will also be a small-scale platinum refiner as well. To launch a company of this kind in a country that's not known for industry of this type right now requires several key aspects. And the one thing is a state-of-the-art facility, which when we go through it, I think you will see. The second part of it is really state-of-the-art equipment. And we've gone full scale into buying the best-in-class equipment from all the major manufacturers that's well known to all the consumers in terms of what they've seen before. So we have not stinted on that, and we have made sure that if the consumers come, if Daimler or BMW or Toyota comes, they will see what they are using currently in Germany and in Japan. And in terms of the facility, which we will be walking through today, it is one of the larger ones that's been launched in the country and actually on the continent. And essentially, it forms the heart, I believe, of the green hydrogen economy. More than a factory, I think our facility here should be considered a national asset because it is proof that South Africa can anchor the full hydrogen value chain from mineral to market. It's also a facility that can be used to train our young skill sets within this green hydrogen economy using these state-of-the-art equipment. So if we work together, we can do all of this together and develop a holistic value chain. On this first floor, which we'll also take a tour to, you'll see our catalyst plant that's currently being erected. You'll see our hydrogen reduction furnaces and all these other equipment. What you won't see yet is the molecular recognition technology that we still have to acquire for the refining of the final metals. And then the last part of this puzzle is laboratories. Behind us, we have 2 state-of-the-art laboratories, one to test your MEAs that you're producing, and the other one is to analyze for platinum group metals. So a fully circular process that contains all the aspects required for a successful and sustainable producer in this field. And I think this slide is really, really very, very important. It is what are the benefits, what are the direct impact of what we are doing here in country and on the hydrogen economy. I think at full capacity, at full production, and all the products we are producing, the catalysts and the MEAs deployed, the products from this facility will save about 1.6 million tons of carbon per annum. This is on a global basis. And that is not an insignificant size for a facility. From a beneficiation perspective, from a localization perspective, I think the figure that we've calculated is at full capacity is around about $270 million per annum in terms of full value of product. But let's be clear, to me it's also steps 3 and 4 where the real value lies. It's not just about technology, it's about people. It's about dignity, it's about hope, and it's about really giving an access to jobs within this environment to our youngsters coming through. We will create in this facility about 300 new jobs. These are all highly skilled jobs. We are typically employing right now graduates with honors degrees, masters, and PhDs. And the multiplier effect of these jobs is probably up to 8 new jobs for every job we create. So it's significant from that perspective. But I think also our work contributes towards helping to industrialize South Africa's base, or re-industrialize our base. And by manufacturing the fuel cell components locally, especially those that use our PGMs, we are also impacting on other areas of the economy. And we are also helping turn our mineral wealth into sustainable new opportunity. And how would we be doing this? Essentially, the jobs, the products we are creating is going to create new demand for Paul's products, for the PGM mines. And I think by doing so, industries of this type are going to help create new demand for our PGMs. That's also going to help create jobs and save jobs in the platinum mining industry. It provides the basis for an emerging fuel cell vehicle industry in country. You cannot manufacture fuel cell vehicles if you don't have the raw inputs. And the raw inputs in this case will be our catalyst and our MEA that will contribute directly to the hopefully a new energy vehicle industry that will change from internal combustion. So again, in the automotive space, we are saving and creating jobs. But essentially, what's happening now is we are training a new generation of scientists, of engineers, of technicians via this facility. We're driving enterprise development and creating pathways. I think this is the critical thing, pathways for employment for our youth within an industry of the future. And this is really the importance of what we are trying to achieve via this project. We already have a very, very successful intern recruitment and training program, and our next intake of 15 new interns have arrived, and we'll start to go through the training program. Some of our interns that we took at a very, very early stage are sitting in front here. Dr. Mpoma Matseke, who's now heading up of our MEA manufacturing division, Dr. Victor Mashindi, who's heading up our catalyst manufacturing division. They have come through our ranks and are now heading up significant divisions. Guys, you want to stand up and let's say hello? So this is the future of our company, and they'll be driving our production going forward. Yeah, we have more PhDs than anything else in this company, so quite surprised. But the other question is why will we be successful? And I think this is also an important slide. I alluded to it earlier. So we have built this in a scalable way where we have secured all the best-in-class equipment from all the major manufacturers in the world. So a potential customer that comes here will see equipment that he sees in their country right now. So you satisfy the facility perspective, they see state-of-the-art facility, they see state-of-the-art equipment. We have some of the best skills working for us, so we cover that aspect as well. And so from that perspective, that's important to create the base. The other important aspect really is to have multiple revenue streams. While we initially a dedicated MEA manufacturer, that's our first business cycle. You will see from the slide I showed previously, we'll be producing PGM chemicals and selling it as well. We're producing catalyst and selling it as well. Our labs can be used as a revenue generation source. So we're looking at multiple areas to be sustainable beyond just the production of MEAs. And even our location here at the airport, really across the runway from the major metals vault, where we get our metal products from, it's across the runway into our plant, and the final product back across the runway onto a plane. So we cut out a very expensive logistical pipelines. There are some, legislative enablers, but I think by building a sustainable business case, you're not reliant on that. So we're not reliant on SEZ incentives, although we're located in SEZ. So that's the way we try to build a sustainable business model. But the one thing I need to confirm is we would not have done this without the help of government, without the help of the DTI in particular. The first round funding we secured from the DTI in 2016. Masopa alluded to a very long pipeline, a very long journey. It has been very, very long. And from that, we've built steadily into where we are now at the execution stage. I think Masopa, it's taken us twice as long as what I anticipated. But that's that's a journey of an entrepreneur. And latterly, help from Infrastructure South Africa via our SIP accreditation, help from the Ministry of Electricity via the Green Hydrogen Conference development. All these come together and helps generate a national incentive program. This one slide for a bit of publicity. The project was launched by at the President's State Investment Conference in 2022. You can see that's at the end of COVID, so that's the COVID handshake. And the SIP status, so you can see we're not making that up. I would like to just talk very quickly about this project because I think this has very, very exciting potential. Masopa mentioned that hydrogen has always been nascent and always been, 5 years down the line, it's coming. And that's also been a bit of a detriment to the industry because we need real projects in the ground now to make it real. And so we've identified a source of what we call intermediate hydrogen. It's coming from a chlor-alkali facility 12 km from here. It's already 99.9% pure. It's coming out of an electrolyzer. So it requires a relatively little purification to get it up to automotive grade. And our project is to purify, compress, and then roll it out into multiple refilling stations in the Johannesburg area. And we can do this at a total cost of ownership that is fairly close to a diesel truck or bus operation. So one of the few projects of its kind able to do that. And the advantage of this is, well, at full deployment, we're looking at 80,000 tons of carbon dioxide saving. But it's one of the bigger projects of its kind in the world right now. And that's hard to believe, but at 7 tons. And, well, the project is designed at 400 vehicles, but we can go up to 800. That is one of the larger projects of its kind in the world. So it puts hydrogen and Gauteng on the map from a hydrogen project perspective. But more importantly, it helps drive local beneficiation and local assembly of these vehicles. So it's going to help with the transformation of the internal combustion manufacturing into new energy vehicles. And I think already a lot of the automotives are quite interested in that. So if I might end, I would just like to say that I believe the opportunity before us now is historic from a country perspective. This green hydrogen economy is not something that we are waiting for. It is something that we are building and something that we need to be building right here, right now, and building together. It's the only way we can do it. It is imperative, that we work together as one team with one vision. We have our platinum industry partners here today. We have our automotive partners here today. We have players in the green hydrogen space. We are being led very ably by Minister and his team and by government. We have social partners, and we also have African partners. And so we have the scope, the team, and the drive to make this transition a just one, to make it a bold one, a transformative one. And I think as Isondo, we stand ready. We will do our part. We will continue to invest. We will continue to collaborate. We will continue to innovate, and we will continue to lead. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vinay Somera, for the comprehensive and very demonstrative overview of the innovative work that you are doing here and the socio-economic spin-offs. It's also encouraging to see the skills endowment here with the good doctors, and we look forward to the site tour of some of what you've taken us through in terms of the facility. We'd now like to invite the Minister of Electricity and Energy, Dr. Kgosientsho Ramokgopa, who will give us a keynote address. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Tsakani. Let me take the opportunity to acknowledge MEC Mama Bulo. He had to leave because he has to go and account at the Standing Committee on Public Accounts. As you know, that the legislature is an important part of our democratic edifice in the country. I think it's important that the executive gets to present themselves and account to the legislature and by extension to the people of South Africa. So he had to leave. And let me greet you all in your eminence. And thank you for joining us in this launch of the Green Hydrogen Summit. I want to special mention to CEO Somera. I really want to congratulate you for the exceptional and phenomenal work that you are doing. Just two things that stand out for me. The first one is that the idea of green hydrogen is not the future, it's now. So as Masupa makes the point earlier, when we conceptualize the idea of a green hydrogen conference as a meeting point of the legislatures, or if you like, legislators, those who are responsible for policy articulation and determination, the entrepreneurs and the financiers, bring them under one roof so that the conversations are more coherent and aligned, and we're all able to see what are the benefits of working together. Little did we know that what we put in together, it's something that could be realized within 24 months. I think our initial comprehension was that this is something that is in the distant future. The horizon was much, much longer. But it takes entrepreneurs and visionaries like yourself to essentially say to us that it's now. And I'm going to surface some of the issues that you are raising in your presentation and how the state can respond in ensuring that this becomes a reality. So thank you very much. Not a reality, but it can be turbocharged. And then the second one, in also a bit of a personal anecdote. So one of the factors of production is the skills that are required. I think your slide number 8 is compelling in many ways. The first one is for you to give opportunities to youngsters who come from disadvantaged communities. And I'm saying it's a personal anecdote because I'm a beneficiary of a generosity of someone like yourself, coming from a township born of parents who have never been to school. And someone had the confidence in me, and I was able to complete my civil engineering degree. I'm standing here as a PhD graduate as a result of the generosity of people like yourself. And I want to say to the youngsters here, first, I'm very proud of you. We can do it. I've traveled the world. I can tell you are better than them. I repeat, I've traveled the world. We are exceptionally better than them. And I want to say to the youngsters here, don't waste the opportunity. You must make the most of that. He shared with us that the first generations of interns are sitting here, they are PhD graduate. And that's why I'm not referring you to as doctors, because we get to be confused with medical practitioners. You are PhD graduate. Those are two different, I always make the point, don't understate what you have achieved. And I want to say to the next generation that do everything possible to be able to build your skills. I'm going to say one or two things on the kind of competitive advantage that we have as a country in the energy complex. It manifests itself in various ways. And I think what is a great tragedy is that we have relinquished the strategic initiative as a country in the area of nuclear, the development of lithium battery, you know the story of CSIR, the kind of innovations that ESCOM has made with regards to prepaid meters. It's us who made it, and the others then took it to another level. The issues of small modular reactors, of course, we got the technology from the Germans, we enhanced it, invest over 12 billion in that, build significant amount of skills, a pipeline of nuclear scientists, and then we abandoned it. Today, as I stand before you, the future of nuclear is SMRs. And those who got the pebble bed modular reactor is what underlines, is a technology that underlines the contemporary, if you like, SMR technology. And that has been enhanced in the country. And then we relinquish the strategic initiatives. I think it's important that we work with people like you so that we don't lose the strategic initiative. We are able to conquer and own these factors of production. So I want to say to the youngsters, please make sure that you, I saw there's a lot of MSCs and the like, you know, the next level we go to PhD. And PhD, the sky is not the limit here, it's not true. It's limitless. And we're looking up to you to ensure that you are able to reproduce that cohort of skills and expertise to help us to broaden, if you like, the opportunities in this space. I want to, when I come and visit you in the next year or two, if you are to assemble all of your staff here, and I were to throw a stone, I must have a 1 in 2 chance of hitting a PhD graduate. And I'm confident that we're going to get there. So congratulations, rather, CEO, for the tremendous work that you have done. You have made the point there that they ask for you to achieve the kind of ambition that you have. It's about $11 million. I'm sure it's a conversation we can have outside this, not in the public. And I'm confident that in the next year or so we'll come back and say that which we said we'll have in private, it has now come to fruition, and we're able to lift this to great heights. So why are we here? So as a scientist, I know you said I'm not delivering a keynote address. I'm talking really the contribution to the conversations around the opportunity on green hydrogen. I'm very atypical, so I told you, I'm not a politician, I'm an engineer who have just been asked to fulfill a public function. And that public function was to resolve the energy crisis. And I can tell you that before the end of this year, we'll stand up in the public and call it that we have resolved this problem. We have resolved it because we are confident of our ability, our technical ability. We are not here by accident. So I'm sitting there with an engineer who's a CEO and the top management ESCOM CEO. The board led by an engineer who's the chair of the board and also PhD graduates in the board, and the minister who's an engineer. And we are trained to solve problems. So this is but another small problem we had to solve with grave consequences. With grave consequences. If you don't resolve it, you are going to undermine the ability of the economy to grow. So I want to engender this point. You must believe in your abilities. When we are given these responsibilities, with all its complexities and difficulties, we knew that we possess the intellectual faculties to resolve this problem. I repeat, we are better than them. That's the point I want to make. You must always believe when we enter into a fight that I have the capacity to win this battle. And that's the mentality, the orientation we have. And I'm sure that with the opportunity that the CEO has extended, you are going to show the best that you are capable of. So what is the problem we're trying to solve? I am of the opinion that, and this is an advice that I got from one of my lecturers when I was at university. He says, for you to stand a better chance of resolving the problem, you must spend 60% of the time trying to understand the problem. What in science we refer to as a problem statement. So what is the problem statement that Mr. Somera and yourself are helping to resolve? The problem statement is a South African economy that is not growing. So we're resolving an economic problem that has got energy manifestations. And the sub-element of that is the contribution of green hydrogen in resolving the energy complex to help us to address the economic problem in our country. The President makes the point, and the Minister of Finance elaborates on that point to say that the structural constraint to the South African economy can be identified as twofold, rather. The first one is the inefficiencies on the logistics side, and the second one is the challenges with regards to the electricity deficit. There is no country in the world that can grow when the lights are not on. It doesn't happen anywhere in the world. The lights have to be on, and we know that that electricity has to be affordable, and we know that now those electrons have to be green for the multiplicity of reasons, because we know the technology on renewable energy is, the cost curve is coming down, the technology is maturing, it's going to bring down the cost, and it becomes affordable. Our finished products will be competitive. We can land it in multiple jurisdictions, and then we can see that parts of the industrial north, although they couch it as an issue around the energy transition, but these are tariff barriers. What we call the carbon border adjusted mechanism is nothing other than just undermining the ability of our finished products to enter those markets. And of course, what ostensibly it's about the transition, but principally it's about undermining our ability to access those markets. So instead of lamenting that, I think we must design solutions to ensure that we green this production and are able to access those markets. So we need to resolve the electricity problem in our country to ensure that the economy is able to grow. And then we decided that it's important that we have an appreciation of what it will take for us to get the economy going. So if you were to do a longitudinal analysis, just trying to understand what has been the contribution of various sectors of the economy to GDP over a period of time, one of the things that is going to stand out is the contraction of mining, which is part of primary production, to the share of the GDP. And if you are to look at the skills profile in our country, it's such that a lot of people don't have the kind of skills that allows them to participate in the secondary and tertiary sectors of the economy. And therefore, your primary sector is still an area of opportunity for the multitudes of people who are out of employment. And that's why we had to do everything possible to ensure that there are significant investment in the primary sector so that we're able to absorb people into gainful employment. So we know that the employment absorption capacity of the primary sectors, if you like, significantly higher than other sectors, the secondary and the tertiary sector of the economy. So mining has been contracting as a share of GDP. But we know now that with the resurgence of what I refer to as the battery economy, your fuel cells, you can see that mining is no more a sunset industry. Mining is a sunrise industry. And to this end, Cabinet has approved a critical minerals strategy presented and led by Minister Mantashe. So what the critical mineral strategy really seeks to do is to identify what constitute the supply risks. It's able to compute a comparison of South Africa's production list with regards to critical mineral list relative to our trading partners. And then we are able to compute what constitute export potentials and also product diversification of these critical minerals. Remember that what we are trying to do is to say, having designed this matrix of what these minerals are, which of these ones are going to help us in the shortest possible space of time to ensure that we are able to position ourselves favorably to take advantage of the battery economy, the fuel cells, and what is going to underpin this transition going into the future. So I'm talking about minerals that are essential for our overall economic development, job creation, industrial advancement, and contribution to national security. So we've given it our own unique color of what constitute critical minerals. I mean, there's no universal definition of what is critical minerals, but what is important, what is a common feature from one country to the other is issues of national security and also economic development. What do we know about the mining sector in our economy, in our country rather, is that South Africa possesses oil reserves to the tune of about 2.5 trillion US dollars. And we also know that there's 16 commodities ranked in the top 10 internationally. So they're huge endowments. So from factors of production, you can see that our position is almost unassailable. So that's the one advantage that we have. And in fact, the strategy goes on to make the point that in 2023, the PGMs, CO, gold, iron ore, and coal together accounted for 81% of total sales, 84% of export sales, 87% of employment, with the PGM being the leading sector in terms of employment at 40%. And what you are presenting before us is that if the story of Isondo is going to be further elaborated going into the future, you'll contribute significantly to this 40% employment creation. And with the youngsters, the pipeline of skills that we are producing, I think the future is bright. So we're able to map what those critical minerals are, and of course, to your point, also identify the PGMs as a key part of that complex. So I'm making the point that mining is not a sunset industry. Mining is a sunrise industry for exactly the same reasons that I've just mentioned. And then we have an advantage here. I mean, we've participated in mining over a period of time. So the expertise is in the country. So we shouldn't have challenges with regards to how are we going to exploit this resource going into the future. And then we then said that it is important that as we grow the economy, we must green the economy. And then we committed ourselves to what we call the nationally determined contribution. So these are voluntary targets that we set for ourselves. First, as an admission as a country that we've got an obligation to our people. So we don't sign and announce the NDC because other jurisdictions are placing pressure on us. We are doing this because it's in our interest and the interest of the country to do it. And then what the world says is secondary. It's important that I make the point. We don't articulate the NDCs because there are pressures at COP. We articulate the NDCs because we've got an obligation to communities that are residing in those areas where we are producing electricity. We know that close to 80% of our electricity production is coal and then there's an emissions problems, NOxes, and all of that can result into harmful health consequences for those people. So we have an obligation to our people before we can make international pronouncements. So we said that we're setting ourselves these voluntary targets, because remember the pace and scale of this transition is going to be determined by us. It's not going to be dictated to us. And then we said the following. We said that we are committing to the reduction of anything between 350 million tons of CO2 equivalent to 420 million tons of CO2 equivalent between now and 2030. But we also know something, that there are what we call the hard-to-abate sectors. So on the electricity front, you can see that we are building, if you like, new generation capacity that is coming from renewables. And to ensure that this is a possibility going to the future, we are also modernizing and expanding our transmission. We need 14,000 kilometers of new lines. We must modernize it. We need about 440 billion rands for us to do that program. And we have announced how we are going to go into the market to get that contribution from the market. And then there are the hard-to-abate sectors. So there is electricity that is a big part of these emissions. And then we know that there's also transportation. And that's where you find the hard-to-abate sectors. We're talking about aviation and maritime. You will not put solar panels on these planes and expect them that you are going to reach New York tomorrow. It's just the science has not achieved those levels. You put batteries there, I'm sure that you are going to, the carrying capacity of the flights is going to be, it's not commercially viable. That's the point I'm making. And that's where the opportunity on green hydrogen comes in. Like I said, when we conceptualize this, we saw the earliest opportunity in being the hard-to-abate sectors. And we know that the problem we have, it's associated with the costs. The last time we checked is that the production could be, at least sub-Saharan Africa, something about 1.5 US dollars per kilogram. If we were to get it to about below $1 US per kilogram, we think that will be cost competitive. But again, Isondo is a frontier. It's trying to show us that some of these constituent elements of the value chain are in fact possible. So I'm making this point that's for you to have an appreciation that as part of our meeting our nationally determined contributions, it's important that we are able to lift the contribution of green hydrogen in that complex. And we think that you're going to help us to take it forward in an exceptionally big way. And that's why when the third iteration of the Green Hydrogen Conference, we are now showcasing what is in operation. I think one of the biggest shortcomings in our country is that we talk, and very little action. So what we want to do is to ensure that we are able to make a start. And it's entrepreneurs like yourselves that are trailblazers that makes it possible for us to show that as a country we have an ability to start something great. The other factor of production, remember I spoke about the skill. The second one is around on the green part of the green hydrogen. Masupa makes the point that we're sitting with the technologies, Sasol, the Fischer-Tropsch technology. What we must resolve is the energy or the electricity that is going to power the production of hydrogen. So what is the advantage that we have? Africa has got the capacity to produce 60% of solar generation capacity in the globe. We've got an opportunity to produce 60% of renewable energy in the globe. But only 1% of investments are found on the continent. So we don't have a problem of renewable energy endowments. So we have the sun, and you have to do a radiation atlas, you'll find that the best quality sun is located on the continent, and in particular, the Northern Cape going into Namibia. So now no one can strip us of that renewable endowment. So the factor of production that we have in this space that cannot be removed from us is the fact that we've got this endowment. The second one is that we've got the real estate. We've got huge tracts of land that we can exploit as a continent. You go to Europe, they don't have this advantage. They've made significant investments, but you can ask them. The reason why our bid windows are oversubscribed is not an act of generosity. It's because the returns are significantly greater here. And the sooner we realize that, the better. That no one is doing us a favor, that's the point I'm making. But we need each other for us to be able to transition, because they are sitting with the money. Of course, we can go to the Chinese, we can go to the Middle East, we can go all over. The money can be found, but they don't have the endowments that we have. So it's important that when we enter the conversation, we enter as equals. So no one is doing us a favor. We are not doing them a favor. We must find a meeting point, a place of alignment, a place of convergence, so that we are able to benefit humanity. I'm making this point because when you go to multinational fora, an impression is created that we need the industrialized countries more than they need us. I'm making the point that we need each other. So it is these partnerships that are going to help us to get to a level where we're able to resolve the problems of humanity, make the transition possible going into the future. So there's the third factor of production, which is the real estate we have. So I did say we have the skills. I made the point that we've got the kind of irradiation, the sun, we have it, and then we have the PGM. So it's the PGMs, it's the skills, it's the sun, and it's also the real estate. And the one thing that we have we don't have is the money. And we can look for the money and see how best we can work together. So we are not beggars. We are not beggars. We are partners in this conversation. And I had made the point on the skills, we are better than them. Just have that in your mind. We are much, much better than them. Just recently, as I conclude, as part of our energy complex, I visited the Chinese with regards to possible partnership on the nuclear front. And when I finished, the chair of this SOE, the biggest in the world, you can see that their installed capacity is likely to increase by an additional 70 gigawatts between 2026 and 27 just on nuclear. And he asked me, but Minister, what are you doing here? So I found the question almost condescending. And he says, no, before you go to town about my question, this is the context. He says, we came to you. In fact, he phrased it differently. He says, do you know a place called Quebec? Of course, I'll know Quebec, because we've got 2 nuclear reactors. 2 of the 3 active nuclear reactors on the continent are at Quebec. The other one is in Pelindaba for research purposes. He says, but in 2001, we came to you to learn about this nuclear. What do you want from me? Because you gave it to us. I went to the US. I was invited by one outfit through a common friend to say, when you're in the US, please come through and visit our facility. And then when we went to the annual meetings of the World Bank in Washington, he says, no, we're 25 kilometers outside Washington. I went to visit them. I was with my colleagues. When I entered the room, it was 7 of them. It was 4 of us. In total, we're 11. Coming from Pretoria, I speak Afrikaans very well. We did Afrikaans until matric, but it's also part of our lingo. Those who are from Pretoria, you know what I mean. We could have conducted that meeting in Afrikaans, barring from the fact that there was a an American who wouldn't understand Africans. What is the bigger point I'm making? The point is the following, is that all of those chaps that we visited, the 6 of them, of the 7, they are PhD holders in nuclear science. All of them with no exception. They are South Africans, white Afrikaner South Africans who worked at NERCSA. All of them with no exception. They worked on the PBMR technology. And then they say, Minister, we are not unpatriotic. 12 billion rands into the PBMR program, you decided to place it under care and maintenance. We left because the skills are mobile. And nuclear scientists, I mean, science is a very specialized skill. They are the ones who are at the cutting edge of the resurgence of nuclear technology in the US. And you can see that the nuclear technology is making a return. And the people who were at the heart of this, having taken the German technology and advanced it, we abandoned it, and the others just lifted it and took it to another level. And we know that's what is going to anchor, if you like, the resurgence of nuclear. The lithium battery technology, I'm sure many of you will know better than me. It is the CSIR that was at the forefront. We abandoned it, and everyone now is at the forefront. So I'm just saying there's a lot of things that where we relinquish the strategic initiative. And I want to say that with partners like yourselves, Mr. Somera, we are not about to abandon this one. You are going to get support from us, the institutional and the policy support you'll get from us, and we'll work with you to ensure that we go back to the IDC to reinvest into this space so that we're able to lift our position in relation to green hydrogen, and we are at the forefront of leadership of this technology. Because the factors of production are sitting with us. What we are missing, it is that money. And we'll go out, continue to look for partners internationally. I'm not about to suggest that we don't need the partners, we need the partners, but the partners come to the table through an equal arrangement. So we're partners, we're equal partners at the table, and we're able to fashion what is in the best interest of all of us. So the Green Hydrogen Conference this year will showcase what is possible. And as Masopa has mentioned, it's about a continental perspective. What are the opportunities on the continent, and working with other partners from outside the continent in ensuring that we are able to achieve the real benefits of this. We accept that what's going to make this possible is the offtakes that will come from the major industrialized powers, and hence I make the point that we need each other. These investments are necessary. They are prepared to pay a premium to access this green hydrogen. Is going to enable the growth of the sector or the industry or the technology, and in so doing, humanity is going to benefit. So I really want to take the opportunity to wish you well, and like I said, we'll have our own sidebar conversation and ensure that we protect this asset that we have just created. I mean, this is a national strategic asset. I had little knowledge of this before I came here until you introduced it. Now I know that we have our best foot forward. So congratulations, Mr. Some. May God bless you. When you are close to God, everything is possible. He always answers. That's my point. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister, for your insightful address. And Minister, as the PhD engineer that you are, your expertise and your scientific articulation on issues and subject matters always make your addresses very informative, insightful, and very educative. So thank you very much, Minister. And then with that, colleagues and esteemed guests, we will now embark on the site tour. We are done with the speaking part of the program. It's now time to see what the facility we're just going to introduce one last speaker before we conclude the speaking part of the program.
Sorry, Sakani. Paul, I'd like to introduce Paul Dunn, CEO of Northern Platinum and President of the Minerals Council. Paul will just give us an off-the-cuff speech as he promised.
Thanks, Vinay. Good morning, Honourable Minister. Good morning, CEO Samira, and the leadership of the province, honourable guests and the team. My speech is a very short message of support and thanks to the Minister, the CEO and the Isondo team here. It's a message of support from the bottom of the economic triangle, Minister, the mining industry. We are, as you say, a primary industry, and our message of support comes from there to the top of the triangle, in a way, to the very high-tech installation and initiatives that we're seeing this morning. The mining industry employs 475,000 people collectively, a very strong contingent from the platinum group metals. These metals are extremely special metals in terms of what they're able to do. Splitting water into hydrogen and oxygen is no mean feat. And there are three particular metals that enable that splitting and combination. Platinum, and two lesser known metals, ruthenium and iridium. Minister, CEO, we produce as a country 90% of the world's ruthenium and iridium. It comes from a particular ore body called the UG2, which is prevalent on the eastern limb and the western limb in the northwest, Limpopo and Mpumalanga. Our employees have a very high dependency ratio, as you know, in terms of their extended families and the communities in which we operate. And we have a very strong economic multiplier up into the broader economy. The installation that we will see today is high-tech and world-class. I've also seen hydrogen laboratories and hydrogen production facilities around the world, and there's no question that this is right up there. I would once again like to say thanks, Minister, for your support, and good luck to CEO Samira and his team. You are running with the big dogs now. We wish you, from the Mining Ministry, all the best of luck. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Paul Dunn. As indicated, colleagues, we will now have an opportunity to see what the facility is doing in relation to its green hydrogen elements. And then for that, I don't think anyone needs to be worried about fitting into any PPE. So, yeah, we can proceed. We'll be guided that tour. And then at the end of the tour, we will give members of the media an opportunity to do some quick doorstop interviews. However, we've got a hard stop for 11:30, and we invite everyone who would like to proceed with us to the Sasol facility in Sasolburg to then start making their way from 11:30. So thank you very much once again to everyone. We are going to proceed with the site tour now.
Okay, guys, just some safety considerations. We'll be taking the minister and a lot of the delegates down the lift. Those that can't fit in will wait for you to come back in the second round or come down the stairs, right? Please hold the handrails when you're walking down the stairs. It's 4 flights.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I thought it was just a phone. Yeah. No, yes,
I do apologize.
Yes,